There's no turning back. The turning point of a career in Korea, being insincere. The holiday was fun packed, the contract still intact. Grabbing hands, grab all they can, all for themselves after all.
And welcome to another edition of the Wandering Ukie Cheese Café, coming to you from Crescent Street west in downtown Montreal. I feel like the last little wander videos I've done have all been around downtown, but it's Friday. I felt like wanting to be out in the crowd for a couple of reasons, and I just wanted to stay around close to the station so I didn't have to travel too far into the city. Don't worry, I'm going to have another wander episode coming down the road. I'm kind of amazed looking around the street too, because I feel like that every year, this part of St. Catherine is always under construction. It's like they start some of the work, never get the finish on time, and then next thing you know, they got to put some temporary pavement on before they dig it up again next year. I'm telling you, Montreal construction, it's inefficient for so many reasons, but that's a soapbox I'm not going to get into right now. But if you're wondering what destination I have in mind, I feel like going around Crescent Street today because it's F1 Grand Prix weekend, and usually on that street they have a whole bunch of festivities going on. I kind of want to grab a drink and see some of the action that's around there. If Crescent does sound familiar to you, that's because I did record a little hop around there around, oh yeah, that was like August or July and August 2021 during one of my very first wander videos after doing a whole bunch of them at home. If you want to see that one, I'll put a card in the top right corner and you can watch it. And as you can see too, it's kind of crowded today. But what can I say? It's summer in the city. Everyone wants to be out. So I take a bit of a detour because I saw that St. Catherine is still pretty packed, and I decided to go on to Peel instead to kind of get away from some of the crowd. Normally you get like standard crowds here, but I remember years ago that this would have been one of the other streets that were blocked off for festivities for F1. So there would have been like cars parked here you can see on display, and they'd be like basically a whole pedestrian only stretch. They're only doing that on Crescent this year. I don't know if it's because of the construction all around or other reasons, but it is what it is. I ain't gonna complain. And it's probably getting a bit loud because my mic is picking up the music coming from the McLean's public house just across the street. And there's a whole bunch of other restaurants I see over here that do their terraces for the summertime. It's like they call this a gastronomy corner. Some of them feel like they're very fancy sit-down restaurants, which I don't normally go to on my own. Anyways, very soon I should be heading up to Maisonneuve Boulevard West. So before we continue the wander, I have one more suggestion for you. Hit that subscribe button below and put the notification bell on, because that way, if you have any, if there's a new video ready to view, you're going to get a pop-up on your phone. Also, give me a like while you're at it. The more thumbs up I get, the more these videos are promoted across YouTube, so you're actually helping me a lot more than you think. In the distance, it may not be obvious, but I am getting very close to Crescent. The way I'd be able to tell is if I was to look a little further up, they do have a stage set up as usual. So that's usually around the corner of Crescent and Maisonneuve, where there's probably DJ, live concerts going on, whatever, among the other stuff that happens, like probably virtual reality things, model cars, actual cars on display. I'm going to take a look and capture as much as I can, but I'll be honest, I don't expect to be doing too much talking when I'm around there until I'm having a pint in a pub, because I can guarantee you it's going to be loud and you'll barely be able to hear me even with this thing on. So I guess we can get started very soon. it was quite the crowd there. I think I only got maybe a fraction of the stuff that was available to look at, but perhaps when I make my round back there, for a second round after I'm done in my Brutopia spot, I can just show it off. But I'm now on Crescent, just south of St. Catherine, which there are a few good spots around here, like Hurley's Irish Pub, which, as much as I enjoy sometimes, I actually don't believe I've recovered it that much. I've got Mad Hatter over there. I might have talked about it during one of my old stories in the past, but I am now at my destination up here. Got the Brutopia. So I'm just going to see if maybe I can find a spot on a terrace here, and who knows, maybe able to share a few more stories. I'm thinking back to my original Crescent vlog that I was referring to, and if I'm not mistaken, I am around the general area, like the same patio, if not the exact same chair, from when I was here 4 years ago, so I guess it is kind of poetic and pretty nice. Ooh, The Cure just came on. I am in heaven right now. So in case you don't remember, or you're not as familiar with this part of downtown, Brutopia is a microbrewery. So they make all of their beers in-house on the spot, and it was one of the first microbreweries I discovered, before I learned a thing or two about beer. This one I've been to even before I discovered Benelux back in 2015, which, by the way, Benelux, great spot. You got the location that's around Place des Arts in Sherbrooke, but also there's one in Verdun if you go along Wellington. I've covered that before on the channel, so if you want to see me visit the Verdun location, I'm going to put a card in the top right corner for you, and you can watch it. And in terms of beers that are classic around here, you got the Honey Blonde, the Nut Brown. Those two I'm kind of familiar with from my older days. I know that one of my best friends, Julie in the comments section, who would love the Raspberry Blonde here. And while I probably want to do a little bit of variety, you already know me. I have to do the New England IPA just because it's my favorite type of beer of all time, and also it's kind of perfect for summer. So cheers, everyone. TGIFF. Oh yeah, there's an extra F in there. I'll let you figure out what it's supposed to mean. Yeah, maybe I'm a bad boy, but boys will be boys, and boys don't cry. To kind of keep the boys theme of music going on. Hey, what am I talking about again? Very nice. So we went from The Cure to Led Zeppelin before to now the Human League, so we're kind of all over the map in terms of music, but I'm okay with that because, as you know, with my channel, when it comes to the jukebox selection, I'm all over the map too, and I try to be as eclectic as possible, just so you can see what kind of music I like and what's near and dear to me. But something I was actually thinking about when I was just having this beer is one of my buddies, Sam in the comments section, which I'm sure he's going to be watching this, made me think back to 8 years ago when, me and him had lost a bit of touch for a while just because life took us on very different paths. He was overseas, I was here. I also had a retail job at HMV, so that meant that my social life wasn't the same as it was, because if you worked retail, you know that the schedule is all over the place and it's sometimes hard to make plans. But I remember when I switched firms and working where I currently am, I was actually sitting in this very bar, probably sometime in the spring/summer, and I got a text from him that said that he was right across the street over at Grumpy's Bar. So when I finished up over here, I went over across, shared a good IPA with them, and then here we are 8 years later, still in touch to this day. So it's kind of funny how chance of meetings can work, or chance of reconnections can happen. But I'm good with that because I try to value my friends to the best that I can, especially as we're all getting older and we all have different directions we go in life. We have kids, which makes it harder to hang out around here, and among other reasons. But the sign of a good friendship is when you're able to meet up with someone after a long time and it feels like you never left, you can continue the same conversation. That is a thing of beauty. Oh yeah, and this draft beer is a thing of beauty too. One thing I forgot to point out when I was looking around is that technically we were able to get some Pepito mixed drinks. There was also some tequila samples or even cans of beer that were available on site. The only thing is that as awesome as that could be, I prefer to have my beer draft, especially because I can get canned at home, and unless it's extreme circumstances, I prefer to do things draft. It's just something about the texture, the taste is amazing. And speaking of taste, once I'm done this, I feel like I'm probably going to be doing myself a taster platter because you can get a beer flight here for a relatively cheap price, and it could be a good reason to try some brand new stuff that I probably never tried on camera before. So we'll wait and see what that's like as I get my meal. Great fries, as you can see, and I'm kind of digging it because Blondie just arrived on the playlist, so I'm in heaven right now. Great diversity of music. And speaking of diversity, you probably also noticed a beer flight that I got over here. So I got 4 new beers to try out to go along with my burger. And what I wanted to do was try to show off something I wouldn't normally show off on my channel, or show maybe a few classic ones. So first one I'm going to show you here is their Nut Brown Ale. It's actually one of the classic ones that I remember from back when I was coming to Butopia years ago. It's a brown beer which tastes like nuts. The thing is, they don't really ferment it with nuts. It just, for some reason, the barley they use, the hops they use, has a nutty texture. I don't get it, but I just figured may as well show that off. And I dig it. Yeah, I don't get brown ales as much, to tell you the truth. I feel like I should try some more of those on the channel one of these days. And then the next one here, I'll admit I got this one just because of the name. They call it the Green Phantom's Ale. Green Phantom's Ale, so it's plural, it's like apostrophe S. And it's supposed to be like a citrus lager. It does kind of look like it's kind of a green, almost like a lime juice, funny enough. But we'll see if this tastes like how I'm suspecting. Okay, it's a little bit on the sour side. It's something I don't really go for much. Because admittedly, when I was thinking like citrusy beer, the first thing that came to mind is cerveza con limon, which you can find pretty easily around Spain, because they have that all over the place on tap. If you want to make it at home, it's easy. You just take a pint glass, do half a pint of beer, half a pint of lemonade, and you're good to go. It's light and very refreshing for summertime. Next one that I got is the Mexi Lager Cerveza. This one, I got it because I know I've shown off Mexican lagers in the past. I'm hoping that my theory for what makes it so different is true. So let's see. Yep, just as I suspect. So this one tastes a little bit sweeter for one reason. Most beers that you have are going to be using fermented barley. This one, what they do is they ferment it with corn. So the taste is a little bit different, almost like when you're making a wheat beer, where you're fermenting wheat, or white, as they would say. The last one is one of the classics, the Raspberry Blonde, because I figured if Julie is going to be watching this, I would not be doing this justice if I didn't pay tribute to her and getting her favorite beer on tap here. Yeah, very funny, Cheech. Or Chong. I don't know which one of the two. This one's not bad. I don't usually do fruity brews because they could be too sour, too much of a tang on it, but this is tolerable and enjoyable. Oh yeah, I'll just plug my friend Julie again. If you want to see one of our episodes we collaborated on, we did a visit to 1957, the Café Terrasse in Longueuil, and I put a card in the top right corner for you to watch that one. But it's not just going to be a beer day. I got some awesome fries and their brew burger. Brew is in BRU for whatever reason. So it's like a regular burger, but this one I got because I had avocado in it, lettuce, and cream cheese. And to tell you the truth, when I think of ingredients that go in burgers, I never think of cream cheese, because it's always going to be brie cheese if you're fancy, sliced foot cheddar if you want your standard issue one. You know, sometimes you just got to experiment. Really tasty. I'm digging this burger and I'm digging these brews. You guys know what my favorite one is? I don't know. I can't pick one because they're all pretty awesome.
You were working as a waitress in a cocktail bar. When I met you, I picked you out, I shook you up and turned you around, turned you into someone new. Now 5 years later on, you've got the world at your feet. Success has been so easy for you. But don't forget it's me who put you where you are now, and I can put you back down too. Don't you want me? You know I can.
The Green Phantom is definitely the most interesting one of the lot, even though it's not one I really go for. But you know what? I'm glad I tried all of these because they're all different beers I wouldn't necessarily do on my own on a pint, unless I have good company with me with beautiful hairlines. Oh, I feel like I'm getting Marcusha infesting me subconsciously. Ooh. So we went from ELO to Flock of Seagulls. Damn, okay, this is kind of deadly because I kind of want to stick around longer and maybe see what other music comes up. But hey, this is a good finisher over here. Gives me some time to do a little walk to find another joint because I have one or two in mind I want to possibly show off on the channel. Either a classic or something brand new, but just a question of what catches my attention and what's in my heart today. When I say what's in my heart, well, depending on which one I go for, I may be able to explain it.
Can I get in this?
Sure.
Ah, nice.
Thanks, man.
I'm from Saskatchewan.
Hey. Like I said, I was debating between wanting to do a classic spot or show off something brand new for the sake of the channel. So here I am at Jack's Saloon, or depending on who you talk to from a certain period, this used to be Thursday's Pub over on St. Catherine Street, just like one building away from Winnie's or Sir Winston Churchill's. It was a pretty crazy spot that I used to go to back in my St. Catherine bar days or downtown bar days. It's always packed, and if you were to come here on a Saturday like 9, 10 p.m., the bar would be filled up, everyone would be standing, it would be kind of crazy, and to have the music so loud that you probably have to shout to be able to be heard by anybody here if you're with a group of friends. But the crazy thing is that that bar actually closed down. Like they hosted New Year's Eve 2029 to 2022, and then it closed down like right away, like within that same week, even before COVID had hit. So you can't even blame the pandemic for that. We're just, people were being told, yep, you're out of a job, and it is what it is. But then in the last year, they rebranded this into the Jack Saloon Country Bar. There is a Jack Saloon actually in Brossard and probably a few other locations. So they have the typical beers that you would expect. Food I'm not as familiar with because I don't really come here to eat. And I don't really come here as much, to tell you the truth. It's because, well, you know me. I'm wandering the city, trying to find some good stuff all around, besides my usual comfort zones. That said, the reason I came here is just because I want to get myself something classic after doing my microbrewery beers. A good old Labatt 50. I felt like this was appropriate today because I am recording this on Father's Day weekend, and knowing my dad, this was his favorite beer. So I remember seeing those empty cases around the basement all the time. And I figured it's a good way to pay tribute to him, as in the year that he would have been turning 71, on Canada Day, no less. So cheers to you, Pops. Hope I'm not too much of a cheese ball. Skunky, but satisfying. levels of busyness I've seen over at Thursdays back when it used to be open. And I guess people are watching me with the camera because they're intrigued, but whatever. It is kind of lively, but if I was to be around here a bit longer, I can guarantee you it could probably reach the peak of Thursdays at like past 9 p.m., 10 p.m., when everyone was standing around like I was describing. And at this point, my Labatt 50 is almost done, so just a question of if I stick around for one more round, or if I decide to hit the road and just walk around. But overall, it's been a pretty satisfying episode, pretty satisfying time to just hang around, enjoy the beginning of summer in Montreal and see all the activities that are happening. It is what it is, like I keep saying. But until next time, thanks for watching this latest edition of the Wandering Ukie Cheese Café. So if you like what you see, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button below and give me a thumbs up if you enjoy my antics, my wanders, the stories, the beer especially, and everything that comes with it. And if you have any ideas for future episodes, leave in the comments. I'll see what I can do. Until then, take care. I'll see you next time. And to everyone who's a father, happy Father's Day.